Empires do not fall in a single stroke. They fall in the silence between heartbeats, when a wounded giant cannot lift its sword again. And in the 7th century, Persia's heart was failing. The Sassanid Empire, once blazing like the sun itself, was fractured from within. King after king had been murdered, replaced, or crowned only to be toppled again. The royal court, drowning in intrigue, succession wars, and conspiracies, had devoured its own stability. The empire that once dictated terms to Rome could no longer even dictate terms to itself. Villages whispered of omens, the sacred fire flickering without wind, horses panicking before unseen battles, and priests troubled by dreams of falling stars and rising moons. Yet beyond Persia's western frontier, something entirely new was awakening. Out of the Arabian desert emerged a force unlike any Persia had faced. Not a dynasty, not tribes fighting for gold or land, but a faith, a message carried by the followers of the Prophet Muhammad, who had united Arabia under the banner of Islam. To the Arabs, Persia was not the center of the world. It was a realm to be invited into submission to God. To the Persians, these desert armies seemed small, unknown, beneath imperial concern. Until they were not. The first clash erupted in Iraq, where Persian generals marched arrogantly, certain of victory. But the Muslim commander Khalid ibn Al-Walid struck with brilliant speed. The Persians, trying to prevent Muslim mobility, chained their own soldiers together, believing unity must be physically enforced. Instead, it became their doom. The Arabs shattered them at Walaja and Ulayas, breaking the chains and the psychological illusion of Persian invincibility. They chained themselves to hold the line and found they could not run when the tide turned, a chronicler later wrote. The decisive storm broke at Qadisiyyah, 636 CE. The Sassanid war machine, led by General Rostam Farrokhzad, deployed war elephants, armored cavalry, and imperial standards embroidered with suns and lions. Opposing them were outnumbered Muslim armies under Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. For 4 days the earth shook, elephants trumpeted like thunder, Persian arrows blotted the sky, and cavalry charges tore trenches into the plain. On the final day, a sandstorm howled west to east, blowing into Persian faces, not Arab eyes. Amid the chaos, Arab warriors cut down elephant harnesses, struck at their legs, blinded them, turning imperial terror into uncontrollable devastation. Rostam fell, not in glamorous duel, but lost in the whirlwind of dust and screams, his body later found near a canal. "A great tree has fallen," Sa'd said after the battle, "and no root remains to raise another." The sun had dimmed. After Qadisiyyah, the gates to the empire's core lay exposed. The Arab armies advanced on Ctesiphon, jewel of the Tigris, where Persian kings once received Roman emperors as petitioners. Instead of legions, the city now saw barefoot warriors praying before entering battle, voices reciting Quran instead of royal proclamations, and banners shaped like crescents, not suns. Ctesiphon fell almost without resistance. The royal treasury was captured, mountains of gold and jeweled thrones, but no king sat upon them now. The palace was splendor without soul. Persia attempted one final stand at Nihavand, 642 CE. This time, the battle was not for border security, it was for existence. But the Sassanid state had no single leader, no united command, no divine narrative. The Muslims did. The result was inevitable, crushing, final. The Muslims called it Fath al-Futuh, the victory of victories. Persians called it the moment the sun set for the last time. The young Yazdegir III, last Shahanshah, fled east, from province to province, seeking aid from a nobility that would no longer rally, from satraps who now negotiated instead of fought, from fire temples that burned eternal flame but not eternal empire. He was eventually assassinated by a miller near Merv in 651 CE, stabbed not by an emperor, not by a rival king, but by a man whose name is lost to history. The King of Kings died alone. The empire of fire, sunlight, gold, and cosmic dualism ended quietly in the night. Scene 8. But civilization did not fall. Persia did not vanish. It transformed. The conquerors brought religion. The conquered offered civilization. Soon, Persian scholars translated Arabic scripture. Persian administrators rebuilt bureaucracy. Persian architects shaped Islamic domes and arches. And the Persian tongue gave rise to new Persian literature, philosophy, and identity under Islam rather than against it. The empire fell, the narrator concludes, but Persia itself, the civilization, endured, carrying the sun into a world ruled by the Crescent. Conquest changed the map. Persia changed the world. The Crescent conquered Persia, but Persia conquered time.